All right, let's dive into a true classic. Picture this, two massive cities, London and Paris, both just teetering on the edge of total chaos. London's got this, uneasy peace, but Paris? Paris is a powder keg just waiting for a spark. This is the world of Charles Dickens's A Tale of Two Cities, a story all about love, incredible sacrifice, and redemption that kicks off with a man, long believed to be dead, being brought back to life.
So our story really gets going with what you could call a living ghost. In a tiny, dark room above a wine shop in Paris, a young woman, Lucy Manette, finally gets to meet the father she thought was gone forever. But after 18 years locked away in the Bastille for no good reason, Dr. Manette is just a shadow of who he once was. His mind is basically gone, his old life completely erased. All that's left is this hollow, repetitive motion of making shoes, the one thing that kept him from going completely insane.
So Lucy brings her father back to London, where it's safe, and she slowly helps him heal. 5 years go by, but their quiet little world, it's about to get blown wide open. We find ourselves in a London courtroom, where a high-stakes trial is about to tangle all of them up in a mess of danger, politics, and yes, a very complicated love triangle.
On trial is Charles Darnay, a young French aristocrat who's being accused of spying against England. The case against him looks really solid. And in a crazy twist of fate, the main witnesses who can put him away are Lucy and Dr. Manette themselves. They just happen to be on the same boat with him. Their testimony could literally send him to his death.
But see, there's another guy in the courtroom, kind of lurking in the shadows, Sidney Carton. This man is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, but he's a lawyer's assistant who's pretty much throwing his life away on booze. He's cynical, looks like he doesn't care about anything, but his sharp eyes notice a tiny detail about the prisoner that nobody else has seen, and that one detail is going to change everything.
I mean, the evidence is damning. The witnesses are totally believable. It really looks like Charles Darnay is done for. So what on earth could possibly save him now? Well, in this absolutely stunning moment, Sidney Carton slips a note to the defense lawyer. The lawyer then makes everyone in the court look from the prisoner, Darnay, over to Carton. And it's uncanny. They look almost identical. All of a sudden, the witnesses start to doubt themselves. I mean, if these two guys look so much alike, how can they be sure who they saw? And that little seed of doubt, it's enough. Charles Darnay walks free. His life saved because he has a doppelganger.
After the trial, this strange connection is formed. Both Charles Darnay and Sidney Carton start visiting the Manette's home, and, well, you can guess what happens next. They both fall head over heels for the kind and gentle Lucy. In the end, it's the Honorable Darnay who wins her heart. Carton, who's pretty sure his own life is too much of a mess for someone like her, just kind of fades into the background, his love for her becoming this quiet, constant source of pain.
Then, in this one incredibly raw and honest moment, Carton actually confesses his hopeless love to Lucy. He tells her he knows he's not worthy of her, but he needs her to know that she's inspired, like the very last spark of goodness left in him. And he makes this incredibly serious promise: I would give my life to save a life you love. That promise, it's going to hang over everything that happens from here on out.
Okay, so while love is blooming in London, a storm of pure hatred and revenge is brewing just across the English Channel. Let's shift gears and head to Paris, where years and years of cruelty from the aristocrats have pushed ordinary people right to the breaking point.
In France, things are dire. Desperation is everywhere. Kids are starving in the streets, while aristocrats like this one guy, the Marquis Saint-Evremond, treat the poor like they're not even human. And right at the center of all this growing anger is a wine shop run by Madame Defarge. You'll always find her sitting there just knitting and knitting. But this is not a hobby. With every single stitch, she's secretly creating a hit list of all the aristocrats who are going to pay with their lives when this whole thing finally explodes.
And that explosion happens on July 14, 1789. A furious mob storms the Bastille, the biggest symbol of the king's oppressive power, and they literally tear it down stone by stone. In the middle of all this chaos, Monsieur Defarge has one mission: get to Dr. Manette's old cell, 105 North Tower. He's looking for something the doctor hid there a long time ago. The revolution has officially begun, in blood and fire.
Okay, back in London, years go by and things are pretty peaceful for the Darnay family. But then a letter shows up from France. An old family servant has been thrown in jail by the new revolutionary government, and he's begging for help.
Darnay's conscience just won't let him ignore it, even though Lucy is terrified. He feels he has to go, even if it means walking straight into the heart of the Reign of Terror.
And yeah, he's basically doomed the second he steps on French soil. A new law just passed that says any aristocrat who left the country and comes back is an enemy of the state, and the punishment is death. As a member of that hated Evrémonde family, Darnay is arrested immediately and thrown in prison to wait for his turn at the guillotine. As soon as the news gets to London, Lucy and her father rush to Paris. And this is where things get really wild. Dr. Manette, the guy who was once a victim of the old government, is now seen as a hero by the new one. Being a former Bastille prisoner gives him a ton of street cred. He speaks up for Darnay, and miraculously, he gets his son-in-law released.
So for one tiny brief moment, they think they're safe. But during the Reign of Terror, nobody is safe for long. That very same day, soldiers are at their door. Charles Darnay is arrested all over again, this time on new charges from someone mysterious.
This brings us to the final, incredibly dramatic trial. The people accusing him this time are the Defarges, but the evidence they have is something much more powerful. It's like a voice from beyond the grave, and it's here to condemn Charles Darnay.
Monsieur Defarge gets up to speak, and in a moment of just devastating irony, he reveals his evidence, that piece of paper he found in the Bastille all those years ago. It's a letter, written in secret by Dr. Manette himself during his time in prison. And the letter tells this horrifying story. Years ago, Dr. Manette was called to treat a poor peasant family that had been brutalized by two aristocrats, the Evrémonde brothers. And who were they? Charles Darnay's father and uncle. When the doctor tried to report their awful crimes, the Evrémondes had him thrown into the Bastille to shut him up for good. In that letter, the imprisoned doctor had written a curse on the entire Evrémonde family, down to the very last one. And now, in the most tragic twist imaginable, those words, written by his own father-in-law, are read out loud in court to condemn Charles Darnay. The crowd goes wild. The verdict is death. The guillotine is set for the next day.
So, all hope is gone. It's over. Or is it? Remember Sidney Carton, the cynical, drunk lawyer who also loves Lucy? He's been in Paris this whole time, and he suddenly sees a way to give his wasted life some real meaning. He remembers that promise he made.
Carton comes up with this desperate four-step plan. Step 1. Get into Darnay's cell just hours before the execution. Step 2. The switch. He'll drug Darnay and they'll trade clothes. Step 3. The escape. The unconscious Darnay will be carried out to a carriage. And finally, Step 4. The sacrifice. Carton will stay behind, ready to die in Darnay's place.
And in the dim light of that prison cell, he actually pulls it off. He comforts Darnay, then quickly knocks him out. As he changes into the prisoner's clothes, he is finally fulfilling that promise he made to Lucy so long ago. I would give my life to save a life you love. He's found his redemption.
As Sidney Carton is led to the guillotine, with everyone thinking he's Charles Darnay, his mind is totally clear. He's at peace. He thinks about the future he's just given to Lucy, her husband, and their child. And his final, famous thought is, "It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known." And really, that's what this whole epic story leaves us with. Sidney Carton lived a life of regret and just waste. Yet his final act was one of unbelievable love and courage. So it really makes you ask yourself, can one single, magnificent act of self-sacrifice truly make up for a life that was otherwise just thrown away?